What's up, y'all? It's your girl Danielle back for my second video on my channel. Today's video is going to be a story time. If you read the title, it's going to be the time that a psychic put a curse on me, y'all. Yes, I'm telling you, this story is crazy. So for all of my non-existent followers out there, please hit that like button. There's really none of you right now, but you know, eventually we're gonna be best friends. I can already tell. Like, me and you are gonna be best friends. So hit that like button and stay tuned for the story. This story time, and I didn't write anything down, you guys. This is gonna be a whole hot ass mess. But this story time takes place. I have to give you guys some context first before I get into the story time, and when I tell you, it's gonna make sense, I promise. When I get into that part of the story, I have to backtrack to like a year before. So a year prior, I ended up going on a work outing with some of my coworkers to this place where it's like got a lot of weird gifts and shit. I don't know. But they have like a restaurant, and then they happen to have like certain days of the week, they have different like fortune tellers, oracles, empaths. Like, I didn't know. I just thought they was all psychic, y'all. I'm not up on all of that. But anyway, I went and I believe I got my aura read by a woman, and then I met with an oracle, and both of my readings were spot on. When I tell you that these readings were so specific, and they pretty much foretold what was going to happen in my life like that coming year. And so as far as like the person that read my aura, a picture printed out, like I think I had to put my like hand on a, like, I think they call it a bio-resonating feedback machine, something like that. It was technical, y'all. It was serious. And it printed out a picture of like my aura and my zones and what they meant. It was like to the T. The lady foretold what was going to happen, specifically like as it related to my job.
Oh, child, I'm getting out of breath. Anyway.
So, the lady was so spot on with that. And then I met with the oracle, and he pretty much told me about the fact that like he foresaw the fact that I was like unhappy in my relationship, which at the time I was married, going through like a really rough patch in my marriage. And he told me that he saw it as like a ball just kind of rolling, and that if I don't make any actions or decisions, there's going to be like bad consequences. But he said on the flip side, he could totally see my life a year from now. He could see my friend group. He was like so detailed. He said that, you know, like somebody was going to come into my life. I always was like, yes, I want to always go back. Like, I trust this. Like, I fuck with this. So fast forward, everything they tell me happens. So as it related to my job and as it related to my relationship, like every single thing fell in line. So fast forward to a year and a half later, I'm separated, about to be divorced. I meet my boyfriend, and we always were just trying to come up with fun ideas to go on dates. And I always was like, I want to go to a psychic. I think that would be so dope. And like, we're really like carefree people, down to do whatever. So he's just like, bet, like, let's go. So I made, you guys, so many appointments to do this. And for whatever reason, it never worked out. Like, it never failed. I had to end up rescheduling like 3 times. And the last time that I decided to go, I will remember the day like it was like yesterday. We get in the car and instantly I start to feel sick. And then I turn the car on and the car starts to sound like really, really bad. And telling me like, yo, you need to get your car serviced. And I just kept putting it off. You're sick. Your car needs to be serviced. Like, we need to take it in for oil change. I think we should just like not go to that today. And I was like, I was kind of bummed, like low key. Last time I never rescheduled. I just canceled. Like, I was so sick. There was so much going on. So I don't know if it was that day or a few days later, we were going to get Chinese food, and there is a little building. It legit like looks just like a little house, and it just says psychic readings on it. And we would always see it and laugh, and we're like, who would do that? Me, bitch. Me, but that's who would do that. So I'm like, we should go. So he's like, no, but we decide to go. So we go, and it's legitimately like a real house. Like, we go in, and there's all these like weird gadgets around, like from every religion. It was just like really weird. So we go, and the man's like of like Middle Eastern descent, and we're deciding who's gonna go first. And my boyfriend's like, nah, I think you should go first. Like, it would throw him off if he went second. because he's already going to have like preconceived notions. And then from talking to me, I guess he just felt like it would make his reading more accurate, if that makes sense. I can't really remember the details. And really, y'all, this portion of the story, like, there's so much more. Like, this portion of the story is really not even the tea. So I go in first and I sit down. And I want to say the man had a crystal ball, but I really honestly can't remember. But I do know he had cards and he had like a little table set out. Now, I honestly like don't remember much from this reading. And I think that's kind of telling because, like I told you guys about the reading before, like there was so many specific details that the person had that really had me like shook. Bitch, I was shook. But I went to this guy and it was like, it was cool. He said that we would be moving in the next few months, like out of state. I do remember that. He accurately like told me that I had just come out of like a long relationship and marriage and all of that. And I really can't remember the specific details. He said he was gonna light some candles for me and he asked for my permission to light these candles. And he said he was going to light these candles in the name of a specific saint. And I'm just like, I didn't grow up like terribly religious.
Light some candles, bitch. I like candles. Everybody loves candles. Light some candles.
And then what I do remember, and the whole takeaway from this is that he pretty much told me, and for the life of me, like I cannot remember what he told me, but he had convinced me that like I needed to come back and see him, and this should be an ongoing thing. And I remember feeling in the midst of this, like whatever he told me, like I did believe, and I felt like, damn, like I do need to come back a few more sessions. Like this guy is totally right. And I don't like, the only thing I could think of that I was going through at the time was that I was going through a divorce. I had never been on my own before. I was going through like some financial issues. It was like hella expensive for us to go. I want to say it was like $75 for both of us to go. So I told him like, you know, I would love to come back, but I just don't know how soon I'll be able to get back. And another thing is that I had a trip planned with a group of friends to go to Vegas. It was kind of like a celebration, like, yes, bitch, I'm no longer married type of thing. And he told me about that before I actually told him. And then this is where it got weird. He proceeds to tell me that he's going to light these candles for me and that don't be alarmed if when I'm in my hotel in Vegas taking a bath, specifically taking a bath is what he said, if I feel his presence. And I'm like, what? Now, at the time, like, they throw a lot of information at you, so I'm just like, oh, okay, whatever. He's like, yeah, like, my presence is that strong, like, I will be with you. I really do recommend that you continue to come back and see me. And there was a creep factor there, not creep like, oh, like I felt like he wanted my goodies, but just like kind of just creepy. Like I just remember having this feeling like I need to keep coming back to this man. And that is so weird because to this day, like I kind of cannot remember why. So fast forward, Dwayne goes in, he reads Dwayne spot on. Stereotypes that he thought he would have about him, like no, like he totally read him completely right. Oh, another detail I forgot to mention is that he specifically said that when we move, and this is before Dwayne came in the room, he said that when we move states, I will become extremely jealous and we will have a period of time in our relationship where I will be extremely jealous and it will be a trying time in our relationship. And there absolutely was a time like that. And the crazy part is that we were planning like a planned move. At the time I worked a government job and I was trying to get my job transferred to another state. And this was already in the works. Just like super, like he did say some specific things that just kind of like made me go like, So anyway, we leave. I tell him though, I'm like, yeah, after we leave, I'm like, he says that he thinks I should come back. And I'm kind of thinking maybe I should come back. He's saying he could help me with this and that. And my boyfriend's like,
bruh, no.
And then I tell him about the whole bathtub part, and he's really like,
hell no. No.
I'm like, really? Because I really think I could use his help. And it was...
This guy keeps calling me. Like, the psychic guy keeps calling me, and it's really weird. And me and Dwayne go back and forth about, should I go, should I not? And he's just like, yo, do you, but if it was me, like, I just feel like he's trying to get money out of you. So I will never forget, plain as day, parked in a parking lot, talking to my boyfriend on the phone about this very thing, and I get a phone call that comes through, and he says to me before I even look, he says, it's him. And I'm like, no, it's not. And I look, and he's on the other line. So I go back to my boyfriend, I'm like, it's him. And he was like, no, tell him you're done and not to call you anymore. And I'm like, at the time, I'm like,
Oh my god, like, I don't want to hurt his feelings. I'm stupid as shit. I'm a dumb bitch.
and he's like, no, like, click.
Over and tell him that you are done and that you no longer want his services.
So I tell him, and I think he like kind of hung up abruptly on me, like the psychic guy. It was just really weird. Days later, that like weird things started happening, and I casually mentioned to my boyfriend that while I was in there, he mentioned that he would, of course, light these candles and pray to a saint. And whatever the saint was in the Bible, apparently, because my boyfriend grew up like super Christian religious, he was like,
You know, that was like one of Jesus's disciples that betrayed him.
I just did not grow up heavily like on the Bible. And he found that extremely weird because he's like, well,
Why would he be praying to that person? Like, that wasn't even like a good person.
and I honestly, like, I had no idea. I was like, that is so weird. So fast forward against this, that the man told me that what if I didn't come back and receive his services to like help me, he saw that I would suffer in like my relationship, health, and finances. And I do remember because when I told him, like, I don't know if I could afford to come back, he was like, well, like, you will be blessed tenfold, like, financially. Like, don't even worry about money. And so often I just decided not to talk to him anymore. Our life progressively literally got worse. I got pregnant. Like a month later, I had extreme complications with my pregnancy, during my pregnancy and the delivery. Literally for like 4 years of our life, and anybody who knows us can attest to it, that we had the most extreme amount of bad luck as far as it came to finances, jobs, just anything. Things were extremely hard for us. And I honestly, it was always, and we also had like paranormal stuff happen. And that happened immediately after I got back from my trip from Vegas. Like immediately that happened. But that's a whole nother story time that I'll get into. And there was just a lot of weird things, a lot of numbers connected to that I kept seeing. Like it was just an ongoing joke, like, oh my God, like that guy totally cursed us. And it was like an ongoing joke until I decided just to look up, like, last week, psychic, being cursed by a psychic, and it's apparently a thing, like, actually happens, is that they try to like extort money from you in exchange for their services. And I don't know, like, not everybody believes that people have these powers or possess these powers. I personally know that I've seen it firsthand. I am a believer. I also know that I will never in my life ever go to any of those places, and it's not because I don't believe that I just believe that some people use their powers for good and some people use their abilities for bad, and because you just never know what you're inviting into your life, like, I just warn people to always be cautious. But yeah, crazy supernatural things happened in our apartment immediately after that further, like, makes this story 100 times crazier. But a lot of weird dates that coincided with the number 13. Our lease was up on October 31st. My rent was $666. Like, it was just a lot. But yeah, guys, that's my story time about the time that we were cursed by a psychic. I hope you guys liked it. I want to keep doing these story times. I know that there's really nobody out there listening to me right now, but you guys continue to watch, and I'll see you next time.